He's a man who's journeyed from the farthest reaches of the galaxy to the celebrated streets of Hill Valley. He's a brilliant actor whose career spans decades, and he's known for captivating performance that have left an indelible mark in our hearts and our minds, whether he's an eccentric scientist with a time-traveling DeLorean or a kooky and lovable uncle. His characters are as unforgettable as they are diverse. Please put your hands together and give a big Albuquerque Comic-Con welcome to the incredibly talented and one and only Christopher Lloyd. So he's making his way down the stairs. Apparently, we didn't realize how many stairs there were, so but Christopher Lloyd is going to be joining us in 1 second. They told us just to keep vamping.
So one thing I'll say about Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
Firstly, I need to say, it is impossible for me to imagine my childhood without Addams Family, Roger Rabbit, Angels in the Outfield, Back to the Future. Like that is a all-hitter list right there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Christopher Lloyd.
Yes! Welcome, Mr. Lloyd. I'm very excited to talk to you about just the craft of acting, in addition to...
I'm sorry, what?
Just the craft of acting, because you're one of the few actors who was able to jump from Broadway to TV to movies, and a lot of people here don't really realize that there used to be a wall of separation when you got in. If you were a Broadway actor, you were not a movie actor. If you were a movie actor, you never did TV. And so, do you think that breakdown of the wall of separation between those three crafts has been beneficial for actors?
Yeah, I remember when I did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was my first film, and I was then in my early 30s. But I started doing theater when I was 16, 17 years old. So I heard this thing that some people can't make the bridge from one area to another. And so the Cuckoo's Nest came along. And there were a couple of times when, in a close-up, I was far too big, and adjustments like that, but you catch on pretty quick.
Yeah, but do you think that, like I know Bradley Cooper did a stint on Broadway, a lot of, like Emma Stone was doing a Broadway hit, and then they go right back to movies. Has that been good for the craft, to be able to jump back and forth between?
Oh yeah. I don't find it a problem. I mean, the task is still the same, to reveal the truth of the character, and sort of, but I don't. In fact, I found when I first started doing film work that my preparation for theater was an advantage, because in the theater, you right away you're plotting out the life of the character from the first scene to the last, and putting the dots together about what his trajectory is, what he did at the end of this scene before he began that one. So you have that, and it's hard to get that in a film. It's not so easy, and it's important, because if you're shooting, starting with the last scene of the story, you gotta know what's coming before, really be into it, so you know where you are when you get there. Blah, blah, blah.
Sure. What do you think about the future for movies is going to be with the advent of technology these days in theaters? Because it used to be such a big part of people's lives, going out to a theater, going to the matinees. But with the advent of streaming, what's your thought about the future of film in theaters?
I don't. That's a toughie, because I mean, if the streaming, that whole syndrome keeps up and it takes over from the movie theaters, if you haven't grown up into it, if you're a young person growing up today, and the emphasis is not on going out to the theater, but what you get in your home on TV, you don't grow up with the same, for me, kind of dependence on the theater. But if that's gradually redirected somehow, then you go into it, you don't realize it's something different.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah. Got myself out of that one.
So that was the easiest question we're going to ask you. They all get much harder from here. Well, actually, what is one part that still haunts you that got away, that you really wanted to be that part and didn't get called back, didn't get selected, that you think about still?
Gosh, I don't know.
You landed all the parts?
Yeah, well, I got a lot of parts that I never anticipated.
Yeah.
It's like here in the theater, you're going to do a great O'Neill play. Everybody knows the plays and the parts and what's good, but I got a script today, I don't know what parts, in time is going to be a classic or not. So,
Sure.
all right.
Being that Albuquerque is kind of the new Hollywood of the Southwest, they film all kinds of things here. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, they've done tons of stuff here, and we're kind of becoming a hub, a new Hollywood in the Southwest.
Right.
What kind of advice or words of encouragement do you have for people who want to start to get into the industry and have a career in television and film?
Have to be here?
Yeah, well, people here specifically in Albuquerque, because we always have so many productions happening. What kind of words of encouragement do you have for people that want to break into it? Or advice?
I don't know, I kind of feel if you're an actor, you want to get up in front of people to be able to do what you do, to connect with an audience. So it's kind of wherever you can find that, go there. You gotta get up in front of people to show them what you can do. So go where it seems you are most likely to find that, whether it's Hollywood or Nashville, if you're interviewed, New York City, of course. Yeah, or particular drama department in some college that seems to you that it's a good one and it would afford you some real opportunities.
So we're going to ask you a bunch of Back to the Future questions, but before we go there, I wanted to ask you about your character in The Addams Family in the 90s, which I thought was absolutely a stellar performance. It's a stellar cast. That cast is unbelievable, even looking back. My wife and I watched it this last Halloween, and it looks fantastic even now. It holds up wonderfully. With Wednesday, on Netflix. Why do you think the Addams Family story has such staying power?
Well, it's kind of a fun, intriguing story. Basically, the characters are so diverse and eccentric or unusual, bizarre, that it was got your curiosity. Wanted to watch it. But subscribe to the New Yorker magazine, which has a lot of cartoons in it. That's their trademark. And Charles Adams cartoons would be often in them. And they would feature a cartoon with Uncle Fester. And I grew really kind of, I liked him, you know, mischievous, kind of harmless guy, but a little scary. Might go too far one day. But I you know, so I get each issue, I look, see something that Fester, so that passes, and then decades later, I get called to be here on film.
Mind blown.
Incredible.
Yeah. Let's jump into Back to the Future. A lot of people probably know this. I didn't know this particular set of information, but before Michael J. Fox, he wasn't available to do Back to the Future because of his family ties commitment.
Right.
And so Eric Stoltz was actually cast in place of Michael J. Fox for about 6 weeks. Is that right?
That's right.
So how was it shooting with Eric Stoltz, and how much different was it? And I guess I want to know, like, how much of the film did you actually do? Because 6 weeks is a long time to shoot. I mean, that's probably half of the production time, you know. And then how different would the movie have been if it would have been Eric Stoltz versus Michael J. Fox?
That kind of a subtle kind of thing. I mean, I had, what's his name?
Eric Stoltz?
Yeah, Eric Stoltz, apology. He's a very good actor. And so everything seemed to be happening the way it was written to happen. And so that wasn't a thought in my mind at all, you know, during the first 6 weeks, just getting into it, trying to find my character and all of that. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, one night we were shooting all night in the market,
The mall?
Huh?
At the mall?
At the mall.
Yeah.
And we broke at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. for dinner, and said, come to this spot or whatever afterwards, there's an announcement to be made. And the announcement was made. Spielberg was there. The announcement was made. It was shot.
Do you think the film would have been what it is today if it would have stayed Eric Stoltz versus Michael J. Fox?
No, what I was hearing was that Eric Stoltz lacked a certain comic flair, sensibility that they felt had to be there, which is why they went to Monaco in the first place. And so they felt that gotta make this change. 6 weeks is a lot of film to reshoot. And then it was just the chemistry with Michael was immediate. Just things ticked, you know, and it never went away.
Right.
So it was cool.
Well, one of the magic things is it's a Zemeckis movie. Spielberg produced it. It's got that kind of Spielberg magic, and Bob Gale wrote it famously. Those are 3 huge Hollywood personalities. How did those 3 work well together? Was it a nice symbiotic relationship?
It seemed to be. You know, I'm not aware of any scene or suddenly things were getting jolted, you know. Everybody seemed in sync. Everybody seemed to be in sync. Yeah.
I have one other follow-up. I looked back. It surprised me to remember that Back to the Future wasn't nominated for Best Picture. It was a time where the Oscars were still 5 strong. It was a a year with Witness and a number of other, Out of Africa won that year. If there had been 10 Best Picture nominees in '85, do you think it's on that list? Do you think it's a Best Picture? Like, the staying power of that movie compared to other movies from that year is huge.
I don't know, sometimes I feel that in some ways Back to the Future 1 was regarded as a kid's movie, or somehow not mature in a way that was expected for a contender for the Oscar. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I should get there. I don't know what else. But it was almost kind of conspicuous after a while why it didn't.
But the Oscars have done a good job of including more movies. You look at last year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, that would have never gotten nominated in 1985.
Right.
So they've made a lane for it. And I just wonder if that movie would have done much better in today's Oscar climate, looking for bigger movies that everybody has seen, things like that.
Maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, it's done so well.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling.
It's a generational film for sure.
Yeah.
I just showed my 8-year-old son the film last week and told him I was going to be here with you. And I mean, he's 8 years old and it stands up now in 2024 the same way it did in 1985.
Yeah.
Stands up. Thank you for that.
I remember Huey Lewis wrote a lot of music. We were doing an overnight, all-night video of some kind. This was before the film opened. It's like, well...
The Back in Time video.
Yeah, sometime during the shooting. And we were all in San Francisco Bay Area, and we went to this all-night shoot. And his band was in the shoot, whatever. And it was some of the city parties around. And he came over, he was like curiosities. They looked at it. They said, "Is this going to do anything?" And I'll never forget that. I mean, he was just, what
Am I wasting my time here with this?
what is this?
That's funny. That's funny. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but if you go to O'Reilly's.com, which is an auto parts website, there's a letter and a number, I believe it's G121. And if you put G121 in the search bar, it brings up a flux capacitor that is not in stock. Any idea when that's going to be back?
Oh, that's right.
You guys Google it. I'm serious. You can do that. G121, O'Reilly's Auto Parts.
Yeah, that's funny.
I would love to ask you about a movie that when it came out, it was revolutionary. Roger Ebert called it a generational movie. He said it was like 2001: A Space Odyssey or E.T., in that it was both a great movie to watch and also revolutionary in its technology. And that's Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And there's a lot of Roger Rabbit fans. But the character you put, also, you were a bit haunting. I wasn't sure if there were movies where you played a good person in the 90s. You chased my nightmares between Uncle Fester, Judge Doom, like you were ever present there. But can you talk to me about that character and what it was like on that movie, working on Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Because it must have felt insane.
Yeah, he was kind of, I loved cartoon Spy versus Spy, two crows.
Yeah.
Right. I felt like that crow seemed to fit, I could see, looking like that and having that kind of personality.
Yeah.
You can kind of get that feel from it too, because I was watching a scene from that today, and I was trying to figure out where did he get the inspiration from that. And now that you say that it's the spy versus spy thing, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah, I was a total fan of that cartoon way before that.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
Can you tell when you're on a movie like that that this is going to be something that everyone views as special? Or when you're on a movie working, is it just blind and you hope for the best?
I didn't have any imagining that Back to the Future was going to be even still around.
Yeah.
You know, I just, you know, like we all have a good opening, a decent one.
Should we do questions here in a minute? See if there are any people. Okay, before we get to questions, if you guys want to, if you have a question, I believe there's a microphone over here, but before we do that, I want to ask you one more thing. I had found an interview that you had done online with, I think, Yahoo Entertainment, and I typically like to go through the comments and look at the comments that people post, and somebody posted a comment. It said, Christopher Lloyd is the kind of actor you need to have in the world. You don't need a lot of people like him, but I put him in the same category as Andy Kaufman and Jim Carrey. There are certain roles that only he could do justice to. What comes to your mind when you hear somebody, one of your fans out there, say something as profound as that? As there's just one of you, and we need you in the world.
One of the what?
You as an actor, this person said that basically you're a one-of-a-kind actor, and we need an actor like you in the world, but just you. How's that? What does that make you think of when you hear that?
Just me?
Just you. Well, essentially what they're doing is they're saying that you're one of a kind, and they put you on the same level as, like, there's only one Andy Kaufman, there's only one Jim Carrey, there's only one Christopher Lloyd. How's that make you feel?
I feel good about it. You know? I wasn't a particularly secure person starting out. You know, I'm kind of dumbfounded that I've had the good fortune to get to do the films I've done and the parts I've had. But I always felt that's in class. I dreaded getting up in front of the other class. I just felt there were talented people in there. Most of whom I never heard of again. You know, it's just strange. I don't know, back to the question again.
Pardon me?
Back to the actually, on the heels of that, let me ask. I just saw, just in the last 2 weeks, I saw 2 new movies with you in them. Self-Reliance is on Hulu right now, which was a great little movie. And then I was watching Nandor, Fodor, and the Talking Mongoose. Whatever.
Yeah.
But you're still working a lot. Where, you know, there's a phrase in Hollywood: you never know when it's your last part. But what do you attribute your staying power and your consistent work all throughout these years to?
I love doing it. I mean, somebody asked me recently some kind of question that, what, you know, means what. I get totally thrilled. I get a call from my agent, he's telling me he's going to send me a new script. Okay, you know, I can't wait to get it and see what I'm going to see, and hopefully, we got to do this, you know.
They're lucky to have you, right? Absolutely. Let's go to our first question. Come on up.
Hey there, Chris. It's great seeing you in the flesh here for the first time. I just wanted to ask you, where do you get your ideas?
Where do you get your ideas? For what?
For anything, really. For TV shows?
TVs?
Well, I'm pretty much open to whatever comes my way. You know, somebody sends me a script. But once I get to it, I want to think about this person I'm reading about and figuring out who he is, what he wants, and how to relate that, convey that to you, to the audience. How to connect that interpretation.
You really like to get to the character. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is more like a compliment because I did some research and I found out that you were only like in your 40s when you did Doc Brown, but nowadays you still look like him. What's your secret? You have aged way too well.
He says you still look like you're 40, and he wants to know what your secret is aging so well.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna lie. It was just
I'm not telling. I don't know, I work out most every day.
Good for you.
But
That's great. Thank you very much for your question.
thank you.
Next question.
If there was like a prequel series or movie made about your character, Dr. Brown in Back to the Future, would you want the role of Dr. Brown, or would you want to go to a different actor?
So if there was a prequel or a sequel, film or TV series to Doc Brown, would you want to do that role, or would you want somebody else to do it?
If I could be the right age, where I fit, I was believable, yeah, I'd like to do it.
Who would you select to play a young Doc Brown in a
That's a good
prequel?
question.
Who would you pick as an actor to
That's
play a
the
young you in a prequel series?
Oh, I'd have to get to work. No, just
Obviously,
don't-
Brad Pitt or
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leo.
One of those guys could be a reboot of Doc Brown.
Well, there's a real good Doc Brown on Broadway in the musical Back to the Future. I don't know what his film work maybe, but
Sure.
he's got it down.
He's got it down.
And it's his. It's not just imitation of me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next question. Thank you.
Hello, sir. You're Doc Brown to everyone, but to me, you're always going to be Judge Doom. I love my movie villains, and I really love the outfit that was chosen for your character. My question for you is, what memories do you have of Bob Hoskins and Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Bob Hoskins was wonderful. Very good memories working with him. Had a wonderful sense of humor. He liked scotch. We had some good conversations. I remember he was being a kid that he was so often having to tussle with make-believe creatures, the rats and what's her name, and the rabbit, and all that, and they are imaginary. He had to keep. We had a method pantomist who would guide us to show us what muscles we use, and we'd have a dummy. It was a dummy Roger Rabbit, and it had real weight, and so you'd act with that, and you feel the weight, then I'd take the dummy away and shoot it. So you had help, and Hoskins would be like, he was having nightmares. But he was just great. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Come on up.
Hi, it's such an honor to have you here in New Mexico. It's awesome. We all love you here. So my question is, can you share a special or favorite behind-the-scenes moment while filming Back to the Future?
Is there any special behind-the-scenes moments or stories you could share from Back to the Future?
Memorable.
I don't know. Well, once in a while, I think, if I've seen the movie, that there's a scene where I'm on horseback down the lawn chasing a train. And then at a certain point I catch up with it, and I pull myself onto the train. Except I didn't do that part. And but I did chase the train up to that moment.
On horseback?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
And I would get to it, and I just wanted so much to reach out and pull myself off the horse and get up. I wanted to do that, but if it didn't go well,
That would be a problem, yes, that would be a problem.
yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thank you for your question. Who's got the next one?
Hi, first of all, I just want to say I'm a big fan of you since I was a little boy. My question is, what's your advice for someone that wants to get into acting?
Advice for somebody that wants to get into acting.
Again, sort of I was saying earlier, find opportunities to get up and act. And it doesn't have to be, anything. Just you begin to get experience being in front of an audience and what works for you.
Thank you.
And I guess maybe getting acting school or program,
Drama club.
theater program.
Right.
Just be around to do whatever, and have the opportunity to have a role.
Thank you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I was asking if it's more of a favor. My brother and my father, their birthday just passed, and they're huge fans. And I was wondering if there was any way you could wish them a happy birthday.
What are their names?
Gerardo, both of them. They're both Gerardo.
Hildago?
Yeah, it kind of. You could call him Pudge.
What?
Pudge and Chato.
Pudge. They'd like you to say happy birthday to Pudge and Chaco.
Chato.
Chaco, they're in the audience. It's her mother and father. And they just celebrated their birthdays.
It's my brother.
Brothers.
Celebrating their birthday? or
I guess they want a happy birthday from you to her brothers.
Chris, it's called a shout out.
Pudge?
They're looking for a hit dog, you said?
It's just Chato and Pudge.
No.
Chaco and Pudge?
Chaco.
Chato.
Like
Chaco!
and Pudge.
no?
Pudge. Like pudgy. Pudge.
I'm great about that.
You know what? We got half of it done. We're good. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Your sister
Happy
waited in
birthday.
line for this. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Good enough. Next question. What do you got, sir?
I'm a big fan of the villains you play, like Judge Doom, the hacker from Cyber Chase, and Switchblade Sam, if anybody remembers that character from Dennis the Menace way back. But I just wanted to ask.
How do you remember Dennis the Menace from way back?
I've seen it.
You're going places, kid. Keep going. Sorry.
So what's your favorite villain that you've ever played?
Oh, your favorite villain you've ever played?
Favorite film I haven't played. Well, Judge Doom. So
Judge Doom.
I don't want to give him full credit, but he's really fun.
Yeah.
And I really liked in the film Dennis the Menace.
That's the one?
Yeah, that's the one.
1993.
Yeah.
What you got there?
I love that
A
sleazy.
apple.
Yeah.
He's seen it.
Yes, he has. That's great. Hey, thank you for your question. That kid's going to be in movies one of these days. Watch out for him, seriously. Next question.
Yes. So you've done a lot of movies and TV shows in the past. I was wondering, did you have a favorite role overall? Just all the characters you played. Do you have a favorite?
All-time favorite.
All-time favorite out of everything you've done?
I gotta say, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That was my first film, and with an incredible cast, amazing director, and one of them a great script, and it changed the course of my life.
Well, you know what they say? They say iron sharpens iron. They say iron sharpens iron, and that cast was definitely a lot of iron sharpening iron for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're out of time. We're being asked to wrap it up. So,
I didn't get to ask my Buckaroo Banzai question.
Ooh.
all right, why don't you ask your Buckaroo
Yeah, you're
about that
right.
question, and we'll wrap it up.
What is it like to work on such a crazy movie behind the scenes as Buckaroo Banzai? Does it feel crazy when you're shooting it compared to other movies?
It did. I mean, it was another world, but Peter Weller and so many of the others.
Jeff Goldblum.
We loved it because it was so weird. You know, it was just we.
Is it more fun though? Does it feel like lighter, less serious than?
Because he was just coming off of winning an award, right?
The director of that movie had just got nominated for Best Screenplay the year before.
Brubaker, yeah. The director had just been nominated for Brubaker the year before, and then he makes Buckaroo Banzai as a follow-up.
Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension.
I don't know. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it.
Great.
Awesome.
Cast.
Well, everybody, he's a legend, and we're so lucky to have you here. So thank you so much for your time.